Hey there, my name is Adiola Kingsley James. How are you doing today? We've gone through the last 5 episodes talking about being the star in your own life story and giving yourself the permission to be the star. I mentioned how it's so important for us to have the 5 whys. And this is whether you're telling a story or taking on a project or doing anything, you need to answer those 5 whys. There's an H, which I also mentioned, which I didn't want to talk about initially, but I will talk about it today. Let's talk about let me remind you about the 5 whys, just in case you didn't see the other ones. The first W is the what. It's the 5 W's. Sorry, I said 5 Y's. 5 W's. The first W is the what. What are we trying to achieve? What message are we trying to pass across? What project are we about to embark on? The what is what starts the process and starts the journey, because that what then tells you the who, right? The what tells you the who. The who is then who is our target audience? Who do we want to reach? What do we want people to feel? What do we want people to see? What do we want people to think? What do we want people to say? What do we want people to do after listening, or, at the end? So we're starting with the end in mind. What are we trying to achieve? Then the who. Who is this for? Who is our target audience? Who are we trying to speak to? Who is this project going to help? Then it was the where. Where is it going to happen? No, it was the when before the where. When is it going to happen? And I said to you that the when has to be now, especially since you're telling a powerful story about yourself, because the mind only knows now. The mind doesn't know tomorrow. It only knows now, because that's the only thing we have, our now. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow hasn't come. All we have is now. And every time, even if we're in tomorrow, it will still only be now. So when? Now. Because your mind only understands now. The next W is where. I asked, where would you like this story to happen? Where in the world? Where? Now that the world is global, we can go anywhere, we can do anything. Where do we want it to be? Is it going to be on social media? Is it going to be in a text message? Is it where? Where do we want this project to be deposited or deployed, or or absorbed or seen or heard? Where? And the last W was why. And that why is like your fuel. That why is what keeps you going even when you don't want to. That why is like the discipline. That why is the reason for what you're doing. And so when you have sleep, you can't sleep at night, and you have it at the back of your mind. The why is what keeps you awake at night. That why is what gets you going in the morning. That why is what pushes you even when you are sick. I used to say to myself, Adiola, you don't need to like it, you just need to do it. So get up now and do what you need to do. That why was what was propelling me. That when I thought about all the women and the men I could help, when I thought about all the children I could help, when I thought of all the lives and all the smiles I could put on people's faces, that why. When even now as a therapist and a hypnotherapist, and I'm working with my clients, and I see that relief on their face, that power whilst in therapy, that energy that they get, it just softens my heart and reminds me why I do what I do and why I'm showing up here. At some point in my life, I would never be in front of the camera. If you ask me to do anything in front of the camera, I'll tell you I can't do it. But look at me now, right? I had to tell myself and remind myself and give myself a compelling reason, a compelling why to show up, and not just show up, but show up powerfully and keep showing up and getting better and better and better. And here I am today. So the 5 W's, the what, the who, the where, the when, and the why. Now the H is how. And this is where people fall back, Because when they start to get excited, okay, I'm going to be doing this. This is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to be. Once you think how, it freezes. Your brain just freezes because now you can't see, you don't know how you're going to achieve it. It's like when people say, oh, when I say I'm going to be I'm the 8th trillionaire on earth. I mean, when I sit and I think about it, I'm like, how am I going to do that? But the how is none of my business. That is why I believe in God. And God says, ask. And it's a law. Whether you believe it or not. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open unto you. It's a law. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, irrelevant. It's a law. When you ask, you receive. So the how is not my business. The how is up to the universe. I give the universe that role. I give God that role. It's the how. My job is to ask. My job is to receive. And my job is to act as though I've received and walk in it. And that's what faith is. So if we change that how to who, maybe it will help. So rather than thinking, how am I going to achieve this? Why not start thinking, who can help me? Who do I need to connect with to work with? Who do I need to partner with to do this? Who do I need to speak to? Who has been there before that can advise me? You see? So immediately it puts you back in creation mode. So you're not thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get there? How am I going to, what if? And then all the other questions now come rumbling and tumbling in. What if you change the how to who? And start to say, who can I partner with? Who can I collaborate with to do this project for me? Who has been there before that I can learn from, that I can speak to and will advise me? Who can support me? And immediately the universe starts to show you who. You might be watching TV and see somebody. You might be walking on the street and somebody passes you by and stops to talk to you. It might be at work. You share it with somebody and somebody says, oh, I know somebody who can help you. You start to connect with the who rather than the defeat of the how. Did you get that? You connect with the who rather than the defeat of the how. Because that's where fear creeps in, that's where anxiety creeps in, that's where everything, and you are demoralized, you're deflated, you get depressed, and all the D's that don't serve you. But let's change that how to who. So it goes back to your 5 W's, doesn't it? It goes back to the who there. It's not, you change the words around from how to who. And immediately you start to feel like, I got this, I can do this. And I know you can do it. What I hope is that you know that you can do it. And you see, for me, I didn't know any of these things just 2 years ago. And even up until today, when I was studying, I was like, my mind was just expanding. And I was like, wow. I got out my notebook and I was writing things. I've heard it over and over. Today, it sounded different. And I was writing and I was like, yes, this is what I need to do now. Excited. There was some time in my life where I never even used to listen to any audiobooks, read any books, nothing. I would watch TV, watch the news, complain and complain and complain, listen to sub stories, gather with miserable people who just had miserable things to say, and we would have a pity party and, wallow in our sorrow. But look at me now. Life can really, really change in the twinkling of an eye if you put in the work. So it's not just in the writing the story. The writing the story is phenomenal because it starts from there. Once you can write it, once you can see it and you put it down, you can connect with it, and you can connect with it every day. But there's the action part as well. There's the action part. So yes, imagination is phenomenal, but there's an action part. There are things that you might need to do. There's skills that you might need to get. There are people you might need to connect with. There are places you might need to go to. There are courses you might need to do. There are mentors that you might need to go and meet. There are people who have been there before, who can teach you or give you advice on how to do certain things. That's the part, and that's why even God that can read your heart still says ask. There's a participation and an action that must come from you. So get up today. Remember, you have 5 W's. Forget the H. Forget it and swap that H to one of the W's, which is the who. Right? So you start with who and end with who. Okay? My name is Adiola, and I've really enjoyed myself talking about these W's. I'm going to be back again very soon, sharing more information and dishing new content out. I love you. Have a wonderful day.